Hey everybody, Joy here. It's already almost noon on Saturday morning. I've been such a bad girl. We slept in the coach last night. Jerry has the RV back in the big blue barn, and he washed it yesterday. Washed the whole RV. And so, of course, being clean, he wanted to put it in the barn. So we slept in it last night, and I sleep better in the coach for some reason. I don't know why. And so I didn't want to get out of bed this morning. I thought I don't have to go anywhere. I don't have any appointments. I just want to stay here. So I got up about 8:15. So that's why it's already 11 o'clock. My day's half gone and I've got a job I've got to finish. I told you about it in my last video. I've gotten a bunch done though. I am almost done. Except for the binding. So, what are y'all doing? How was your week? Mine was good. I've had allergy issues badly this week. I don't know if summer's turning into fall and all the allergies are deciding to group together and form a committee and jump up my nose or what. But anyway, pardon my constant allergy issues. That's why I have to have coffee. Judy made fun of me. I've been thinking of all these contests this morning, and I'm just chatting, going off all over the place. So if you're here for a tutorial, I am going to give you a tutorial though on a scan and cut, but a real important tutorial. But Judy got in front of the class and she asked me to come up there and give her a hug and sit back down or something, and she said, everybody knows Joy Bernhardt, don't you? And I guess somebody said, yeah, she has a YouTube channel, and Judy said, I can imitate her. Watch me. So she stood up in front of the class and she just went. She imitated me drinking my coffee. And so then Colin, my favorite, Captain Colin, I call him Captain Colin. Captain Colin is the son that I was supposed to have, but God made a mistake and gave him to Viv. So I just love that boy. And I call him Captain Colin because he's always helping somebody, always rescuing somebody. He's just wonderful. So anyway, he can imitate me. He has done it. And I think it was on a little text video that Viv sent me one time. And so he does, hey everybody, Joy here. So I just love that. So I thought I should have a contest with people imitating me. And they have to do a little video. But I thought, how would you do that? I don't know how we could do that. Because I don't think you can do little videos under here in comments. And I have no idea how you would do it, but I would love it. I would think it would be so fun. You know what they say about imitation? Imitation is the highest form of flattery. So I love it. You know, if you get offended because someone's making fun of you and imitating you, don't take offense where none is intended, my friends. Depending on the offense. But I'm saying in most cases, somebody imitating you is because they like you, they think you're funny, you're on their mind. My mother used to say, I always consider it a compliment if there's two people in the room talking about me. That's what my mother used to say. If y'all could hear me cough and sneeze, you'd think I was dying. I'm not been that way for years and years and years. I didn't used to be that way. I grew up not allergic to anything. In fact, when I was, what was I, about 15, my sister was 14, my mom made us sell Avon in the summertime. And Avon had all these little bottles of 1,000 different scents. They had all these different scents and they sold it in creams and bottles and squirt on and everything else. I could take a bath in that stuff. It didn't bother me. My sister, we may have been younger than that. We were young. Mother would drive us to a neighborhood street. And Janice would go down one side and I would go down the other. And Janice was afraid of everything. She was afraid of dogs. And I wasn't afraid of animals, but I'm not a salesman at all. If I called myself anything, I'd say I'd love to be a teacher, but never, ever a salesman. In fact, I was the worst salesman on earth. I would go up to the door Avon, golly. I mean, they look down and you're a child. I'm sure they thought we were just idiots with our little bags and our mother out in the street. And so if anybody would even let me give them the book, I would say, now, I've tried this one and it's just horrible. I can't stand the smell of it. And this one stinks. It smells like rotten eggs, but I like this one down here. And poor Janice. Janice was so shy. We used to have to go to piano lessons. My sister Janice was born cross-eyed. And so for many years when she was a little girl, she always wore those thick, thick glasses from very young. And she could see two of everything. And Mother used to make us walk down this alley behind our house. And I'm sure we lived in a poor neighborhood because we were poor. And had this little house on this street of little houses. And there was an alley behind us. And way down the alley was this lady that taught piano lessons. And so Mother made me and my sister, and what were we then? 8, 9, 7, 8, 8, 9, 9, 10, young. And so we would have to walk down this alley. Well, and people had fences, and their dogs would be in their backyards. Well, if a dog came up, jumping on the fence, Janice would just climb up my body and hold on to me. She would say, those dogs, those dogs. And there's only be one dog, but she could see two dogs. So, poor little Janice, bless her heart. She had several surgeries when she was older. Her eyes are fine now. They're perfect. They fixed it all. But when she was a little girl, it was really hard. So anyway, here we are, and she's still afraid of everything. And I suppose her surgeries are over, and she could probably see then. So I'm walking down one side of the street one day. She's walking down the other side of the street one day. And you knock on the door, or you ring the bell. Avon, golly. This guy opens the door to Janice, and he's stark naked. Oh my heavens, that may have ended our Avon sales career. I'm not sure, it didn't last very long. However, when you decided you were going to sell Avon, Avon would send you all this stuff, I guess for free or real cheap or something, because we had like every fragrance. You know, little samples of lipstick and samples of fragrances. So our rooms were full of those little bottles of scented creams or whatever. They used to have one actually that I really liked, but they quit making it. I remember it came in a yellow container, and I loved it. Used it for years. Anyhow, then I developed allergies. Actually, I think it was after I had my baby, because I never had an allergy at all. And then I just started being allergic to fragrances really bad. So, are there fragrances in my house? No. So obviously I'm allergic to things other than fragrances. I don't know what it would be, because my house is pretty clean. So who cares about that? Nobody. Okay, so I was going to tell you about imitation as the highest form of flattery. And I would just love to do a contest where people were imitating me on little videos, but I don't know how to do it. If y'all have an idea, tell me. Then, you know, because you can't imitate me with just a picture. It has to be, you know, a 10-second reel or something. So then I thought of this other contest. And I thought of one the other day too, because the craziest things happen to me. And I'll think, I should make this a contest. And say, if anybody can tell me how this happened, I'll give them a prize. I'll give them $100 or something. So I think of that all the time. But the things that happen to me, there's no way on earth anybody would ever figure it out. So I'm just going to tell you what my contest was and what the answer is. My contest was, why does this song keep going through my mind? Why do I keep singing it ever since yesterday morning? Tiny bubbles in the wine make me happy, make me feel fine. Tiny bubbles make me glad all over, with a feeling that I'm gonna love you till the end of time. I've sung that 5,000 times since yesterday morning. It just goes through my mind. In fact, I even asked Siri. I said, Siri, she's listening to me now. Find the song Tiny Bubbles by Dean Martin. No, I said, find the song Tiny Bubbles in the Wine by Dean Martin. She comes back and says, I can't find any song called Tiny Bubbles in the Wind. Cracked me up. Tiny bubbles in the wind. So anyway, the contest was, what happened to make that song come to me? And I've been singing it now for 2 days. So I'm going to tell you the answer because nobody would ever. I was going to give away $100 if somebody would guess it, but I know nobody ever would. I have this certain kind of product that I really, really like. And usually the stores are out of it. And I really like it. And it's made by that purple company, the Australian kangaroo people. Am I going to think of the name of it? Probably not. Probably called Aussie, but I wouldn't swear to it. It comes in a purple can. And it's hairspray. And I use the one called Freeze. And I've used it for years and years and years because my hair is very, very, very thin, as you know. And so I have to spray the roots of it. First I put the goo on, and then as I'm fixing it, I spray the roots. So, I mean, it stays, you know, be a tornado outside, my hair doesn't move very much. I look like one of those dolls that has the plastic hair stuck on their head. So anyway, I ran out. I went to the store, tried to find it, none. I went online, tried to find it, none. Finally, I went to Amazon and found a product called that, but it's in a completely different container. Different picture on the front, different name on the front, but same company and part of the name was the same. So I ordered 6 cans of it. I hate it. It's awful. Can number 1, I wrote a letter and said, this is horrible, it's defective, it's terrible, blah, blah, blah. Nobody cared. So I thought, well, I'll try can number 2. Can number 2, same way. Yesterday morning, I went to can number 3. So what it does is when you spray it out, it comes out like you blew bubbles through one of those little things, you know, that little kids do, only they're itty bitty teeny bubbles, little tiny 1/4 inch bubbles, 1/8 inch bubbles, tiny. And there's just bubbles all over my head. Ah, it's terrible, just terrible. So I went in there and I got another can, another can. Oh, they all do it. I was so mad. So I read the can. I was going to call and tell Amazon, and they'll say, oh, you're not allowed to return that. It could explode. So I read the back of the can. And it said that it's the same product, only they've made it so it's not stiff. It's still soft, which it kind of is. It's not as stiff as it used to be. But evidently, it comes out like air bubbles. I mean, it gets all over your face, your arms. Oh, I hate it. And it comes out as these little bubbles, but the bubbles dissolve and go away. I don't think I have any bubbles on my hair now. No, I don't. So, anyway, you never would have thought of it, would you? Bubbles coming out of my hairspray can, all over my hair. So, who cares about that? Why does Joy come up with these things? Why does she think we care? I know. Okay, and I can't remember what my other contests were going to be. That was going to be one of them. All right, let's talk about the scan and cut. And it's hot in here. Let me turn the air down so I can quit wiping sweat off my upper lip. Hold on. Another allergy break, sorry. I do think that I should get some credit for turning the whole incident into a song. Hold on. All right, scan and cut. I had a scan and cut disaster the other day. Actually, it lasted about 2 days. A scan and cut scans and cuts. Therefore, it's a scanner. So if you want to scan something, you put it on this mat. This mat has this flippy sheet, see? And you put whatever you want to scan underneath it. And then you stick it in here. You open it up. You stick it in here. It runs it all the way through and all the way back, and then it shows you a picture of whatever you scanned, right? Well, my picture was coming back with this great big black thick line. It was like a 1/2 inch wide black line all the way up and down the entire mat. Like these here, like these black lines, only thicker and from here to here. The first time I noticed it, I thought, oh, something just went screwy, I don't know what. And whatever I scanned happened to be on the side of the black line, so I just cut it out and didn't worry about the black line. Well, the next day I needed to scan something and the black line went right through it. And so I had to get rid of the black line. Well, looking at the black line, I immediately thought, I bet there's a piece of vinyl stuck in there on the light bar or someplace in there. A piece of vinyl must have gotten stuck in there. And so it blocks the scanner from that area the whole way up and down. So I went down in the kitchen and it was lunchtime and I was complaining to Jerry. I said, something's wrong with that scanner. I guess it's not good anymore. It's got this big black line. Now, I think something's stuck in it, but I can't get my fingers in it to see. I can't get it open. I don't know what to do. So he came up here, you know, Mr. Fix-It. So he thinks he's going to fix it. So he takes it. And I tell him that there's this tray in the back. And I said, it might be stuck on this tray in the back, but I can't figure out how. He said, well, obviously that comes out, Joy. So we turned the machine upside down and tried to get the tray out. We pulled on it, pushed on it, wiggled it, you know, not to where we would break it, but we could not get it out. So he said, what about the manual? Doesn't the manual tell you what to do? I said, no, the manual doesn't. And it comes in 50 languages. You know, you've got this manual that's this thick, but the English is 1 page, and then there's every other language in the world on all the other pages. Nothing about cleaning the thing. Nothing about getting something stuck out of it. So Jerry said, well, why don't you call the manufacturer, the company, surely they have some kind of support. So I went to brother.com. I found the support button, and I pushed on the support button. And on the support button it said, what machine do you have? So I told it, I have the SDX 225F for fabric. So they said, okay, what's your problem, in the chat. And I told them, and they said, well, have you updated it? I thought that was automatic. She said, well, you need to update it to 1.7 and then that will fix it. So I said, okay, fine, goodbye. So I came in here, I updated it to 1.7. I scanned this again. Still had the big black line the whole distance. I was tired of it that day. I decided I'm just going to throw it away. I'll buy a new one, whatever. So the next day I woke up and I thought, I'm going to call them back and tell them that didn't work and see what else they'll tell me. And while I'm talking to these people, chatting, brother.com, I keep saying, I think something's stuck in it. Can you tell me how to open it? No, we can't tell you how to open it. I said, if I could get that thing out of the back of it, I could see if something's stuck. No, we can't tell you how to open it. So the second support person at brother.com said, you need to calibrate it. So they told me how to push this button, then this thing comes up and you push 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 little plus signs and you calibrate it. Well, it wouldn't work. Probably because something was stuck in it. It wouldn't calibrate. So that didn't work. So I decided, well, I'm not going to deal with those people anymore. Thinking it's just broken, I'll have to buy a new one. So I think All Brands sells these scan and cuts, because I know my friend Becky does classes there and I know they sell scan and cuts. My friend Jan, that manages the store in Oklahoma City, used to sell scan and cuts, but they don't sell them anymore. So I thought I'll just call All Brands. So I call All Brands and I go to the website for the San Antonio store. So I think I'm calling the San Antonio store. Pardon my phone, y'all. I think I'm calling the San Antonio store. So on the website, there's 2 phone numbers. One of the phone numbers is big, it's up at the top, and it's an 800 number. And the other number, I guess, is the San Antonio number. Well, I thought they both went to the same place, so I called the 800 number. This really, really nice young man answered the phone. His name's Nathaniel. And I talked to Nathaniel, and I told him everything I just told you. And he said, it does sound like something could be stuck in there. I said, well, could you please tell me how to open it? Oh, no, we can't tell you how to open it. I said, aren't you supposed to be able to take it apart somehow to clean it? He said, well, we can't tell you how to do that, which I think is insane. Becky doesn't agree with me. Becky said, oh, I can see why they wouldn't tell you that. You could break it. Well, it was already broken. It was already completely dead. In fact, the second person at Brother.com told me it was probably the board, you know, the computer board inside it, and that I needed to send it for repair. So $50 to whatever town to repair it, $50 minimum charge to fix it, and they may not be able to fix it. $50 back to me. I thought, that's insane. I'm not going to spend $150 on something they may not be able to fix. I said, if you just tell me how to open it. No, we can't tell you how to open it. Like I said, I looked at the manual. Nothing. Nathaniel even said maybe on YouTube. And there's several on YouTube, but that day I could not find them. I was searching on YouTube how to clean the light in the scan and cut. How to clean the scan and cut period. How to clean the bar. I said everything. In all my searches, I said everything but glass. Okay? You have to say how to clean the glass in the scan and cut, and the videos will come up. But the day I was searching, nothing at all came up. That Julie Faye Fan Balzer does it, and some other lady does it. But I couldn't find them that day because I kept calling it the wrong thing, which, you know, I'm famous for. So, speaking of things, we'll have to talk about unpick in a minute. So, Nathaniel told me that he would sell me a new machine for a really good price. They had a $50 off coupon, so I could get this $999 machine for $649 free freight. So I thought, okay, fine, I'll just buy another one. But I said, well, let me think about it. I said, my husband's having a fit over this, and I said, I'm going to still try to get it open somehow. I said, even if I break it, at least, you know, I've tried. So he said, well, just call me back. Was it the next day? You know, the days go by so fast. All this happened like Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. This week, I got a text from Becky, my friend Becky Thompson. You all know Becky Thompson. And she was telling me something about SureFit Designs and an email and some sale they were having. And so I said, oh, hi, how are you doing? I said, I'm having the worst trouble with a scan and cut, blah, 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 and started texting the problem. She just called me. She said, for heaven's sakes, what's going on? So I sent her a picture of the scan with the big black line down it. She said, something stuck in your machine. I said, yes, I know. Brother.com knows. All Brands knows. The whole world knows, but nobody cares and they won't tell me how to get it out. She said, I'll tell you how to get it out. Jerry and I had turned it upside down. Remember I told you? So Becky said, turn it upside down. Same thing. I'm talking to Becky on the phone, standing right here. I take this stuff all off of here. I turn it upside down. She says, pull the tray off the back. Well, I pulled on just like when Jerry was helping me. Couldn't do it, couldn't get it out. And she says, I know that thing comes out. Well, then I discovered this little lever. This little lever hidden in the cracks, the indentions, the holes, whatever you want to call them on the bottom of the machine. There's this little bitty lever. You squeeze the little lever and the tray comes out. And lo and behold, there was a little piece of black vinyl stuck to the glass. Can you believe it? So I took it out. Everything's fine. It's not broken. Becky saved me $650. She's sending me a bill. I know. So then, the next day, I then talked to Nathaniel again. I talked to him several more times, and last thing was I called him and told him, well, my friend Becky called. They know Becky. Becky does videos all the time for All Brands. But he was the Louisiana store. I forgot to tell you the part about Nathaniel. So I talked to Nathaniel the first time. Well, the second time I wanted to call back and buy the machine. So I called the San Antonio store. And they told me they didn't have any, and there was nobody working for their company called Nathaniel. I said, I have his name written down on this paper. I have everything he told me written down on this paper. Somebody named Nathaniel works for your store. Well, it turns out when I called the 800 number, I got Louisiana. And Nathaniel doesn't go by Nathaniel at work, although that's what he told me his name was. He goes by Nate. So they know him as Nate, not Nathaniel. So, I mean, it was a roller coaster. The Lord's always doing something like that to teach me patience. I said, I'm already patient. Look how patient I am. Oh, so anyway, Nathaniel was adorable. He said, oh my gosh, I'm so excited you figured it out. I said, why the heck didn't you just tell me about that little lever? We're not allowed to. I think it's crazy, but we're not allowed to. So anyhow, my scan and cut is fine. But if you have a problem with yours and your manual doesn't tell you what to do, don't just send it for repair. Go to YouTube. Somebody's always got a video teaching you how to fix something. So how to oil it or fix it or take it apart or blow it up or something. Okay, so that's my scan and cut tip of the day. So what else is going on? Let me take another allergy break and I'll tell you. Still working on the kitty quilt. I wanted to show you for you quilters. I don't know if I have any long arms. Tell me if you have a long arm. How many people watch me that have a long arm? I've got the APQS Millennium. I am using this tray. It came with my Millie. It is really, really awesome. It just fits around. You put your needle through here and then lay it down on the plate here, the base. And then it gives you this area. You got to get it on just right, my friends. And that's not it. It's easier if you're in front of it. There. Okay? So now that makes this big square that you can cut your thread. I don't know why my thread needs to be cut, but so now you have this big flat area here. See? See, this is wobbly up and down. This is flat. So you can take your rulers, and these two are my favorite. These are my favorite rulers. This is the Janet Lee's favorite, the Gadget Girls something or other. I bought these 15 years ago. I don't even know if you can still get them. Everybody has their own rulers. These are the ones I use all the time. I have hundreds of rulers, definitely hundreds. And then this is Dainty Ditcher by So Far So Good, S-E-W, S-E-W, So Far So Good. Little tiny ruler, a whole bunch of lines on it, 1/4 inch increments. Love this. And then when I'm doing a long place, I like this one. So see, you can put it on your ruler base under there and it's flat. If you put it on this, oh, terrible. Now I use this. If I don't have the ruler plate on, I can use this and it works pretty good. But you know, I'm doing all these books. All the books that the cats wrote for the cat library, remember? So I have already done the bottom border. I've already done the top border with the border design that My Creative Stitches made just for me, just for me. I drew them, just this crazy little picture I drew. I'm not an artist, but I drew a little picture. I tried to do a cat paw and the word meow. And I said, can you make me a border using this? And they made me up the cutest border you ever saw. I'll show it to you. So, I've got the top border done, the bottom border done. You have to take the whole quilt off the long arm and turn it around. So then this, one of the side borders will be on the top and one of the side borders will be on the bottom, and I can do the rest of the borders. So that's going to be the very, very last part. But right now I'm going through all the books. And the books are every color in the world. So I have taken all the colors of all the books. I had to use the flashlight to find something the other day. I don't remember what it was. I think I was putting a flashlight down here to take out some threads or something. So all of these isocord spools are the different colors of the different books in the quilt. So I match the book when I quilt it. So you can't see that I quilted it. You know, I don't want it to show up. I just wanted to keep the book from being puffy and, you know, puffing up like it had air. An air hose stuck underneath it. What do you call that, trapunto? I don't want any trapunto books. So I have my pens. Sometimes, like one of the books, I wrote a name in the same color as the book, but I stitched a name in it and I called it Scratch, because cats scratch. And so I put the word scratch in that book. And so I like to do that. When I made the quilt for Viv, I thought of a whole bunch of names to put in her books. But for these, I don't know, I'm kind of running out of patience with it, and I just want to get it done. So I've got to quilt. I've already done all the walls. All the walls are done. So I've got to finish all the books and all of their individual colors, and then take it off, turn it around, do the top, do the bottom, trim it, and bind it. I'm so close. So I wanted to show you the last block for the, you know, my big blue and white quilt that's been up here forever, and it's not done, it's just rows. The last block we're doing in September. Then in October, she's going to show us how to put all those blocks together. And I don't know what we're doing in November, maybe a border. I don't know, because it's supposed to be 12 months. But she said this is the last block. So I was really surprised to hear that. I'll show you what one it is. I should have marked it with a paper clip. Hey, maybe I did by some miracle. Did I mark you with a paper clip? No. I forgot its name, but it's in the way back of the blue book. You know, this is a month by month, block of the month, edit a sitar, laundry basket quilts, blue and white. And so that's it right there, recognize it. It's called Supernova. Let's put the paper clip in the right place. Supernova. Can you see if the light's wrong? Supernova. And I have to do one whole block. And I'm pretty sure this is an advanced pattern. Whole bunch of half square triangles. See here? So I want to get that done. So I want to do this first, and I've got the whole month of September, and I'm sure Philly and I'll be Zooming, so I don't know. Day by day, one day at a time, but right now this is priority because you know my true love forevermore is having a birthday. So excited. I say, you know, just haphazard. I don't think that's the right word. That I'm so excited, but truly, I just praise God for every breath that man takes. I tell you, I do not take it lightly that my husband is alive. Oh my goodness, he's doing so good. You should have seen him yesterday. He was out there cleaning the RV, these great big long brushes, the whole RV, both sides, the back, the front, the windows, everything, the tires. Then he backed my Explorer out and washed my Explorer. Oh my goodness, he's just work. He's up on the coach now in the blue barn, cleaning the screens up there or something. So every time I see him, I just thank you, Lord. I walked by the bed last night. I had to get up. I get up a couple times a night. And I walked by and his feet, you know, in the RV it's little, and the spaces are little. So I walk right by the end of the bed and I touch his feet and I say, thank you, Lord, his feet are here. Thank you, Lord, my husband's alive. Thank you, Lord, for healing my husband. So I told you that unpick. I didn't know why everybody said unpick. I mean, how can you unpick something before you picked it? So my friend Eileen sent me the definition of unpick, and it says that it's to rip out stitches. Well, why is it you rip out stitches, but you don't unrip out stitches. I just think it's wrong. You know, the dictionary shows words and how they're used. It doesn't necessarily mean it was a good idea to use them that way, in my opinion. You could say rip, you could say unsew, you could say unstitch, but unpick? I mean, when you're sewing stitches into something, are you picking them in? To me, it just makes no sense. To me, the word pick means to pick and pull something out, you know. And unpick means to put it back in. So, the word's in the dictionary. I'm wrong. Evidently, the dictionary's right. But I still think it should be pick, not unpick. You use whatever word you like. I'll be back. It's Monday. Oh, I've been busy. I put in probably 15 to 20 hours on this. Getting all of the books done. Look at all the thread. I don't know if the camera can see it. All these colors, believe it or not, are in the quilt. All these different colors of turquoise and purples and greens and blacks and whites and creams. I've got an orange one up there. Woo! So, I figured out how to do the top border and the bottom border all by myself, except I had to call Jeffy and ask him one question. And he said, turn it the other way around, Joy. And so I turned it the other way around and it worked. So this whole border is quilted and the whole top border, but there's two side borders. And for some crazy reason, nobody's invented a way to easily do the side borders other than take the whole quilt off and turn it around. So that's what I'm doing right now. So I'm going to have a pin cushion. Ta-da! A pin cushion would help. Hold on. Now, you know, I still have one part of my body that's really little, and that's my wrist. Not my ankles. I'm sure they're tiny in there somewhere, if you could get to them. So this just wants to go around and around and around on me, but I'm going to try to use it so I can talk to you while I'm pinning this. It holds, I use the hairpins, hat pins, corsage pins, the ones with the little tips on the end that are like a pearl, and they're kind of oval shaped. Those are the ones I use, but they're not the only ones you can use, of course. So, many hours. I have to make myself quit because, you know, I have a husband and he has to be fed. He definitely has to be fed. After all of the things he's been through, he's hardly able to keep up to 170 pounds, and he's supposed to be 175. And as I've told you before, and as I've told him, I'm not having a husband who's skinnier than I am. So I'm trying to fatten him up. I'm baking a loaf of bread right now. All right, this side's off. Woo! You must really be sure you leave enough extra of the backing outside on the sides, or you won't be able to turn it. Because this border has to be free floating in here. It can't be pinned to the leaders. So I hope that makes sense. So now let's unroll it from the back. I have an APQS Millie, as you know. Let me find my roller. I have this footstick thing that you step on and it unrolls. How awesome is that? Why did you buy a Millie? For the same reason, Terry ended up buying a Millie, because the table is wonderful. Now, I don't know if the other companies have tables like that, but I know her sister had a Gamble, and her sister didn't have a table like this. So, oh my goodness. And of course, as you're working with it, turning it and looking at it and preparing it and trimming it, you're going to notice places that you missed. But you can hook it back up here with these clamps. I may have to do it and then I can show you how that works. And so then, like if I miss the book, or if I miss the ear on kitty, or if I forgot to do the whiskers, like right there, the whiskers aren't done. And I don't have the right color thread on. So when I've got the sides I'll have the sides, one side up there, one side down here. Then I can go in and check it again. All right, I'm going to have to go to the back of the machine now. Isn't that fun? Looky there. Oh, looky there. Jerry's kitties. There's a picture of them holding Bootsy and Pepper. And there's another picture of them in here holding two kitties. The back of it has threads hanging all over the place, but I'll get those later. And I am going to hang it on the wall when I get it done. I don't know if I'll hang it out there or hang it in here, but I'll hang it somewhere, I promise you. And then surprise him. Although he probably will, oh, I've already seen that, Joy. Well, I don't have time to make him another whole quilt, so this is just going to have to do. Did you watch Shine yesterday? And think, why is Joy saying those crazy things? Yeah, I got a comment on my Shine channel. It kind of ticked me off. I've gotten that comment before, though. So anyway, some lady said Jerry was a saint to live with me. And I wasn't that mad about it, because I've said it myself about 1,000,000 times. My own daughter said, you better hope Dad doesn't die before you, because nobody else will ever marry you. But that's true, not really true. I had 2 proposals before I met him. Not to mention the one that I did marry, but I married him because he proposed pregnancy to me. And I was 17 years old and had to get married. So, anyway, that was a pregnancy proposal. Yeah. Okie doke. I'm going to get around the back now and get the pins off the back. Let me rearrange you. So, I promise you, I would much rather be starting a pretty new top today because I can make a top so much easier, and I get to sit down at a sewing machine. When I'm working on the long arm, I'm standing up all day long. I have those saddle stool things. Jerry and I tried sitting on them for Shine. We actually did sit on them for Shine one Sunday. Both of us barely moved when we got off of them. They are not comfortable. The seats are hard, at least the 2 I have. A lot of people ask me, where'd you get those? And I'm like, I don't know, and you don't want them. Maybe they have some. You know what I think would be good is if they had those saddle stools like that, that had a back on them. Because just sitting on that hard, it's like a bicycle seat, and it's hard. So, let me see, are we loose yet? Nope, we got one more pin. You guys are seeing this way before Jerry, you know. Oh yeah. He keeps saying, what have you been doing all day? What have you been doing all day? I keep saying, I've been cleaning up my sewing room. Fortunately, he doesn't know what that means. He comes in here, it's a total disaster, like a tornado came through. But I just keep saying, oh, I'm still cleaning up my sewing room. Ta-da! What do you think? What do you think? I'm so excited. His birthday's September 30. So I want to have it all done by then. And the books all have titles. You know, the cats wrote the books. I told you that earlier. And they all have titles that have to do with things that happened with him and the cats. Like one time our cat Barney, the garage door was open and he was up on the top of the garage door and we didn't know he was up there. And we just closed the garage door. And when the garage door came in, he got squished in between the door and the ceiling. And like fell on the floor, and he got up and ran off, and we did not see that cat for 3 days. Jerry got on his 4-wheeler and he went out there, and we've got 11 acres here, you know, and he drove all around, up and down the road to the other people's property, all out in our land, walked around between all the trees, walked all the way around the ponds. He could not sleep at night for worrying about that cat. And 3 days later, Barney showed up just happy and friendly and killing little birds and lizards and stuff, as usual. I don't think Bootsy ever caught a bird, but boy, Barney caught one every day, I'll tell you. That boy was a bird catcher. Okay. I know you're tired of looking at it by now. So I'm going to take this off. I'm going to turn it around like this. See? Because this is the border. This is what the border is, this wide piece of fabric on the side. And so I have to do this whole border right there. And I think I showed you earlier what it looks like. It says meow, and it has that little heart and a paw on it. And one of the girls, is her name Christy? The ladies over at My Creative Stitches made it for me. I drew them a little picture, which, you know, I was lucky they could even recognize what it was. Oh, it wasn't that bad, but they made it into a border design for me. And it just made me so happy. It was just awesome. And back then I was making, you know, I made this one time for my friend Viv, and hers is better. Viv's is better. You know, I just was, it was my first time, and I was real excited, and I was into putting all the names on the books with the, when I was quilting it. I wanted to quilt names in the books, and I did a couple. I know I did one that says scratch. I think I only did one here. No, because I remember typing something else, writing something else. I think it started with an F. It did because I was it feathers? Yeah, I think one of the books says feathers. And I was trying to figure out how to write an F that would go into the E. But I think I did figure it out, actually. I think I did figure out how to do an F and make it join with the E, you know, in cursive. And so one of the books says feathers, one of them says scratch. But anyway, 100 years from now, I'm going to think it's wonderful, and I'll forget all of the issues that I had and where it isn't perfect. And Jerry will never, ever notice it to start with. I have an update. What are the chances of something happening? So, I've got the quilt set up to do the side border. I've changed it. I've got the sides on the top and the bottom now. I finished the top. I move it down. I'm doing the bottom. I have it all stretched out in the machine, and I set it all up, and I tell it to quilt. So then I come over here and I find the material that I want to make the binding out of. And I think, oh my goodness, I'm going to try to get it bound today. It's going to be such a surprise. Oh my. So I come over here, and I don't know why I didn't see this. I think I was over fixing my radio, my boombox thing, to turn on some of my CDs. I think I must have been over there because my back was to here. But then I was here doing this. I don't know how I couldn't have noticed this. Oh, I know how, because I couldn't hear. So I'm doing this, and I'm doing my music or whatever. And this is folded up like this, and I take it apart, and it's all wrinkled. I heat up my iron, and I look over. Now the machine sewing, the long arm sewing, the computer sewing, just making its noise, sewing. And I look over, and I'll show you what I see. Okay, so the machine's moving, doing its thing right here. And standing right here, like this, is my husband, staring at it, watching it sew. I look up from over there, I see him. I come over here, I walk up next to him, and he says, "This is almost done, isn't it?" And I'm sure he thinks the computer did the whole thing. If he had come up here to find me, and this hadn't been sewing, he would have completely ignored it. He wouldn't even have noticed it. But since I was over there messing with my radio or whatever I was doing, and this was running, he just walked up here to see what it was doing. So anyway, so much surprising him for his birthday. The surprise is over. So anyway, I can just take it off and do something else if I want to. To him, it's no different than what it was when I gave it to him before it was quilted. It doesn't make any difference to him whatsoever that all of this thread is in it now. He doesn't see it that way, you understand? To him, it's still just the quilt top with no batting, no backing, no binding. It's still the quilt top and the quilt I gave him his last birthday. So anyway, y'all gonna have to help me figure out what the heck to give him for his birthday now. Cause I have no clue. Life's always throwing you a curve, isn't it? Here I am over here at the cutting table with my giant ruler. That's a 24.5-inch square, and I like to use it for this because it's my largest ruler, and I always cut the corners with it. Now, my corners usually look pretty straight, and I can get them, you know, to look good, but they're never ever perfectly straight compared to the seam line where I sewed the border on. But they're real close, and you can check that, and I do. And sometimes if you just put a tiny bit of batting, cut out into the white part a little bit, and then you can straighten it up. I don't know why quilt fabric doesn't stay straight, because when you put it on there it's straight. It's frustrating. And I was checking my little pads on the back because it was slipping around, and you notice I've got my don't cut your fingers off glove on, and you notice the other one's missing because I don't even know where it's at. But I don't ever want to cut my fingers with a rotary cutter again, I promise you. That was awful. So I'm throwing it on the floor like I always do. I'm so excited. Do I save that? No, 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 no. If you want to save all that extra stuff, you go right ahead. But to me, I have earned the right to toss all this right in the trash. I have worked on this for mega zillions of hours. I can't believe Jerry walked up here and was standing there staring at it. Anyway, I made a loaf of bread today. The first one is flaxseed bread, and then the one I'm making now is cinnamon oatmeal. So we'll see how it turns out. I just love my homemade bread, and you can tell by looking at my waist there, which no longer exists. It doesn't matter how big you make your top. It doesn't hide the big underneath it. I wish it did. I do find that wovens do a lot better job of it than knits do. That's a knit. Alrighty, I've got a corner cut. Now I'm going to turn it around, and I'm going to cut another. I'm going to finish cutting this side here. What I usually do is I cut all 4 corners first, and then I cut the rest of the sides, because then I know it'll be straight from where it is on the side to the corner. But look here, look here. Yay! Alrighty, this is Tuesday. I think it's September 5 or something like that. So I want to show you what I could do for my quilter friends out there. I don't remember where I got these, but they're like PVC pipe cut with a slit in it, and you can, if I can get it off. I wish I could get some more of them if anybody knows where they are. Anyway, you get the idea. I can't do it with one hand. So I've got one here, one there. I've got one here, and I've had this up here. I keep it there all the time. And one there, and one there, and one there. Because this quilt was off. It's off and it's been trimmed. It's ready for binding. But I noticed a place that I wanted to fix here. This was still too puffy, so I wanted to quilt it down some more. So you can see, I just attached it like that. It's not pinned to any leaders. And I'm able to go back in and fix a place or 2 or 3. I'm sure I'll find several. But I just want to show you that little tip. Let me see if I can get one off, and I'll show you what it looks like. So see, it's like a PVC pipe, and it's got rounded edges, and it opens up. If anybody knows where I can get some more of these, I sure would like to get some. The lady I got these from, I don't think she quilts anymore. I don't think she has a channel anymore. So see, and you just pop it on the bar. Isn't that awesome? Well, it's now 1:30 on Tuesday, September 5. Jerry's at the skin doctor. He got done there. They were an hour behind, and he said they did about 8 places on him. And now he's having lunch, and then he's going to Walmart, and then he's coming back home, so I have some time to myself, is the point. When I edit my videos to you, my snippets, there's always something. I start to tell you and then I get off on another subject, topic, idea, whatever you want to call it. I forget to tell you what I started to tell you. So I started to tell you about Philly and when I met Philly. When I met Philly, she was a long arm quilter, and that was her business. She had a long arm at home just like mine, a Millennium, and the big table, and she quilted people's quilts for them, and that's what she did for a living. She was taking care of her grandbabies in those days, so yeah. And then, oh, maybe it was about a year later, not too long, I hired her to come to work for our company because it didn't take me long to figure out she was really, really smart and a really hard worker. Okay, so that's what I started to tell you about Philly, and then I got off, and so anyway, I'm back, okay? What am I doing? Since I'm home alone, and since the cats are no longer any surprise, you know, it's suddenly not on my rush list, I do have the binding all cut and sewn together and starched and pressed and ready to put on it. So, before long, oh, I'm just now looking at the back of the quilt. Oh, how fun, I can see all the books that I quilted. How fun. Okay, so I told you in one of my snippets that this is the next block for the block of the month, the blue and white block of the month. So I think, since I've got the afternoon to myself and Philly's busy, I don't know if Philly got her house on the market yet or not. I need to text her and find out. But this is the Supernova. So I have to make one of these Supernova blocks. And so I thought I would work on that this afternoon and go ahead and get that done. And, you know, I've got the rest of my life now to finish Jerry's kitty quilt. But guess what else I'm doing? I started to come up here and get my camera and get my lights, and I thought, oh, good grief, I'll just tell them. You know, I have a bread machine. Was it last Christmas? A year ago? Yeah, Jerry bought me a bread machine. And he bought me the Pioneer Woman hot pot, super cooker, whatever the heck you call it. And so I've been making bread. Well, mostly I've been making flaxseed bread because Jerry likes to take flaxseed because it's good for something. You watch those doctors on the internet, the one guy that's completely bald, and then I call the other two Berg and Berry. There's Dr. Berg and Dr. Berry. And then there's that doctor that's bald that's called the motivational doc. And I listen to them because they've always got something that you just absolutely have to quit doing or you absolutely have to start doing in order to live another day. So, oh, something in my eye. One of the doctors talked about flaxseed, I think it was the bald guy, and how healthy flaxseed was for you. And how you can put it on your cereal, or you can put it on a casserole, or you can put it anywhere. So I make flaxseed bread for Jerry. Well, I'm tired of flaxseed bread, so I decided I wanted to try a new recipe. Something that I would like, and of course it's not good for you. But what I love is raisin nut cinnamon. Cinnamon raisin nut bread. There's not one. If you can find one, please tell me where you find it on the internet. I can find cinnamon oatmeal. I can find raisin or raisin cinnamon, but I never have found any of them with nuts. So I found a bunch of different recipes yesterday, and I thought I would try one. It was oatmeal cinnamon. They call it oatmeal cinnamon. I call it brick bread. You can hurt someone with that bread, I tell you. It's supposed to be a 2-pound loaf like this, and it came out like this. It is like a rock. I used my knife to cut the end of it, you know, the bottom part that cooks the most. I took my knife to cut a little piece this morning. I think it broke my knife. Anyhow, I thought I'd throw that out in the deep woods for the animals to eat, you know, the little raccoons and stuff. I don't want it near the house because I don't want them coming up here for food. So now I'm trying another one. It was a recipe by some man on the internet. If it turns out good, I'll tell you which one it is. But this one had raisins and cinnamon, but no nuts. So I thought, well, good grief, I'll just throw some nuts in there. How hard can it be? So he put his recipe, and then there was a bunch of comments, and I always read the comments. And a whole bunch of the people in the comments said, well, it was okay, but we changed it, and we did this instead of that, and it was better. And so if you go down far enough in the comments, and thank goodness I did, the man himself, or maybe it was a woman, I think it's a man, who wrote the recipe said, here, I'm making these changes to the recipe. So the recipe's first thing you come to at the top of the page, then you scroll way down and you see this man's comment saying I changed it. So thank goodness I saw the I changed it part because I changed it too. And one of the things a whole bunch of people said was don't just put the raisins in there, soak them first. Soak them in warm water. And he said, somebody said soak them in rum. I think I'll try that. So I have this bottle of rum that's been up in my cupboard for 15 years. I hope that stuff doesn't go bad. I don't think it does. I made a rum cake with it many years ago. You know, we used to have a family that would come here. So I know it's really old. So I thought, I have some rum. So I poured some rum, just a little bit, like an ounce of that, in a 1 cup measuring cup. Then I put my 1 cup of raisins in there, and then I kept stirring them around. And then just before I put them in the machine, the bread machine, I added a little bit of walnuts. I don't know if the walnuts keep bread from rising or if there's some reason they never tell you to put nuts in, but I decided to put a few just to see if it would work. So my new recipe, partly mine and partly the man's and partly all the people that left comments, is downstairs cooking in the bread machine. So, I can't wait to see how it turns out. I used to have a recipe years ago. My goodness, when you're 70, it's like everything happened in the olden days. Back when bread machines were real popular and everybody got one and everybody had one, whatever machine I had then, I have a Cuisinart now. I don't know what I had then, but whatever I had then came with a recipe book, and it had raisin cinnamon nut bread in it, and I used to make it. I made it all the time and ate it all the time and loved it. So maybe I might still have a recipe book to it. I don't know. I've got so many recipe books, I don't know if I could ever find it. So pretty soon, the flavor, the smell, the essence, the what do you want to call it, it's going to float up the stairs of that raisin bread cooking. Oh, it's going to be so good. Yes, and my belly. Oh well. You know what? You just got to get over the belly. I don't know how many dozens of women I have seen. And you look at them and they're not fat at all. Their faces aren't fat, their arms aren't fat. They just look normal, and then they'll talk about sewing and how they have no waist anymore, and they're totally straight through here and have this, they call it a tummy. That's a nice way of saying it. And it's just age. It's just an age thing. I can lose 5 pounds and I'll still be the exact same shape right here. I just did. I just lost about 7 pounds. And my hips measured the same and my waist measured the same. I was smaller in the bust, smaller in my arms, smaller in my face. Now what good is that? So then you walk around with this Humpty Dumpty belly and little bitty head and little bitty arms. That's not a good look. So what I need to do is make some more clothes and make them so they look good, and I'm going to use wovens, a lot of wovens. I've got a million knit tops as it is. And then you need to be careful when you do make the knit tops, and don't ask me what pattern this is because I have no idea. But this one doesn't have just, you know, the maternity flowing fabric. It's more fitted. And I think when we make these knit tops, if we don't put that fullness in the bottom, so much of it, I think even though we're still in there and we're still lumps and bumps and donuts, that I just think you're going to look better than having that great big, some of you have told me that before, you need to quit wearing those great big flowy tops. My daughter told me that actually a couple of years ago. My daughter's very honest, and so are my sisters. So take your last gaze here at my sewing machines. This is a Missouri Star Quilt Company quilt pattern, and it was in one of their block magazines. I really like this one because I thought it would be fun in my sewing room. And the pantograph that I used on it is needles. Look at all this thread. Needles, spools of thread. Here's a spool of thread. Here's a needle. I think that's all it is the spools and the needles. And then of course I have a little cabin. I've got to text Philly and see if she wants us to do this together or if I should just start doing it myself. Little tiny pieces, pre-cuts. I guess I could open it. Let's open it at least, huh? Oh, look at the little bags. Is that cute? Look at that little bag. And this is bag 1. And so you open up bag 1. And then the pieces are all pre-cut in there. Oh my goodness. How cute is that? Can you see through the bag a little bit? All of the pieces. Oh, that's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. I started to tell you, sewing machines are coming down. I don't know what I'm putting up, but it needs to be something for fall. And I don't know if I have, see, if I hang something up here, it has to have a pocket, a hanging pocket in the back of it because it's on a hang it dang it. You remember the hang it dang it's take one nail in the middle. So all you need to do is hammer one nail in the wall and you can hang any quilt up with it. Over there, my quilts have to have a pocket also, only it's got the old-fashioned hanger upper that's about 2 or 3 inches wide and flat, and it hooks on the wall and it goes through the pocket of the quilt. Out in the other room is the only place I have where the quilt hanger, you just put the binding of the quilt, you just feed it up into it, and it's got these little balls sort of in there that roll down and hug the quilt. So that kind of determines on where I can put a quilt and where I can't. Okay, however, I can put them up there on the ceiling now. I hope I don't hate that. I don't want to cover up my entire ceiling, so I don't know. We'll see how long I want to play that game. I think what I'll do is I'll go out there and I'll find a quilt to put up here. And then, when my bread is done, I'll come back up here and I'll let you taste a slice of it with butter on it. How about that? Alrighty, behind me is my quilt called Sunny Lanes. It's in this book called Nickel Quilts. It's an old book. And the quilt pattern is right here. Nickel Quilts is the book, but the quilt name is Sunny Lanes. So, yeah, I really like that. I made this in 2004. Now, see there, I put a date on it. 2004. And you can tell all the bright colors. I just love bright colors. Okay, so we're going to look at that one for a while, and look what I have here. Terry was here, and it just came out of the bread machine. I gave her some of it. She was just drooling. Oh, so good. So I brought a piece for you, and a piece for me, right out of the bread machine, with the raisins, with the rum. Looks like this half has more raisins, so I'm going to give you that half, and I'm keeping this half. Nut. I got a nut. Nothing wrong with it. Tastes fine. That's good, y'all. It's right out of the bread machine, so it's still very, very warm. What do y'all think? Did you take a bite? So good. I want to tell you one other thing, then I'm going to shut this video down. Showed you the book. I looked for these two pictures. I looked and I looked and I looked and I looked. All my picture books, all of my picture places, I couldn't find them, Guess where I found these pictures? Inside this book. Since 2004. These pictures have been inside this book. I never would have found them, ever, ever. I could do another contest. Tell me where I found these missing pictures. So Terry was just here, and I was showing them to her, and I said, look at that hair. Look at all that hair I had. Oh my goodness, what happened to my hair? I was probably 24, 25 when these were taken. Didn't have my braces yet. I had an overbite. My teeth were really nice, except I just had an overbite. But, yeah. This was part of some picture pack, I'm sure. I used to take the girls every year to Penny's or Sears, and they would take all these pictures of them. But I lost these two somehow. I was probably going to show them to you one time and couldn't find them. So with that, I'm going to let you go. Y'all have a great rest of the week, and I'll see you when I see you.